Well, good evening, everybody. It's good to be in Manchester. I was here last year for Share Talk on another company that I have, which is actually a mining company, but here to talk to you about BigDish. We're quite excited about what's been happening of late. The market seems to have responded very well to us, and we're pretty happy. So we're glad to be here. BigDish is all about dine smarter. That's the hashtag we're seeking to own. We are a yield management platform. That simply means that we are looking to drive traffic to restaurants at times when they want people to come. So yield management is a concept around dynamic pricing, charging different prices at different times for the same product. It started in the airline industry. Airlines realized that when a plane takes off with empty seats, it makes no money. So they started creating dynamic pricing and different prices based upon supply and demand. And BigDish is bringing this to the restaurant industry. So a seat on BigDish can only be booked up to 48 hours in advance, but most of the bookings take place on the same day. So for us, it's really about the same day. And the driver behind any form of yield management or dynamic pricing strategy is incentive. Use incentive to influence human behavior. So in terms of BigDish and the restaurant industry, what we are saying is, why should a restaurant seat at a busy time of 7 o'clock on a Friday cost the same as, say, a quiet evening on a Monday? So people ask me, what are the fundamentals behind BigDish? It's pretty simple. People love to eat out. 2, everybody loves a deal. And empty tables make no money for a restaurant. So we keep it really simple at BigDish. We don't try to make anything too complex. It's really, really simple. It's a product that everybody can understand. Everybody likes to eat. Some people like to eat more than others, but everybody loves to eat. So it's really easy to understand. Those are the BigDish fundamentals. Where do we operate? Our focus, we operate in Asia. That's where we began life, 3 Asian countries. And we have announced to the market in recent times how we've shifted our focus to be fully focused on what is happening in the UK and looking to spin off or sell off the Asian business. And there's a reason for us to do that, because we believe that we can achieve more value for shareholders by doing very, very, very well in one market rather than trying to spread ourselves too thin. So we are currently in the south of the UK, as you can see. We started pretty much in Bournemouth. There was a reason for that, is that we acquired a company upon our IPO, which was in August last year, and that's why we began life in Bournemouth, Bath and Bristol. And where you can see those pins, those are basically our first 2 territories, and you'll be seeing some of those other pins come to life within the app pretty soon. What are the goals of BigDish over Q1 and Q2 2019? These are what we're looking to deliver. Pretty much all of these we've told the market about. We want to hit 200 restaurants in each of our existing 2 territories over this period. We are about to launch a consumer marketing campaign with some pretty good, pretty award-winning agencies within the next couple of weeks, which should be pretty interesting. The goal of that is around customer acquisition and brand building. We're also going to be launching a new and improved website. We discovered in coming to the UK that people in the UK also like to use a website and not just an app. Whereas in Asia, it was 99.999% everything through the app. Nobody cared about the website. So what we found coming to the UK is that it's probably heading for about a 70-30 split in favor of the app versus the website. So you're going to see a new and improved website for consumers that will come up in Q1 and Q2, and we're going to be expanding into new territories that we will be announcing, and also you'll start to see the beginning of a UK-wide rollout. We believe the potential for us is 6,000 restaurants in the UK. We didn't pull that number out of the sky. That number came from a company called Tastecard, which runs a dining discount program, and they have 6,000 restaurants in the UK. And so that's where we pull our number from. We believe we are the next stage on from an old-fashioned dining discount card model, and so we believe we're going to disrupt their business entirely and smash it in the UK. That's basically our goal, for want of a better word. You might as well be ambitious when it comes to consumer tech. Restaurant acquisition. So I want to talk a little bit about some questions and that I see. I've looked on sort of social media, Twitter, what people are saying about BigDish. I also read the shared bulletin boards to see what people say, good, bad, and indifferent. And I thought I'd take the time to talk about a few things and clarify a few things about BigDish. So restaurant acquisition, people have asked us about what type of restaurants do we target? Well, we don't target fast food restaurants. We target casual dining and fine dining restaurants. We don't target absolutely every restaurant that can be targeted. We look for a certain quality of restaurant. How do we define that? We start looking at sites like TripAdvisor and see how popular restaurants are, what kind of ratings and reviews they have, and then we look to try to target those kind of restaurants. What we say to restaurants is we cannot make you popular if you're not popular, because we don't cook your food. Right, so we're not getting involved in the kitchen, but what we can look to do is optimize your revenue. So that's what we look to do, to partner with the best restaurants. How do we approach a restaurants, people have asked us? It's very simple. We have one territory manager in each territory, currently 2 territories. The UK, we've broken down into about 10 territories, so you can figure out how many territory managers we would have if we were all over the UK. It's going to be 10. And we literally target them by calling them up, walking in, talking to them face to face, engaging with them, discovering about what their needs are, and looking to sign them up to BigDish. Now, what is very key is the next 2 points, is that we are quite strict in terms of the rule book for when a restaurant comes on to BigDish. And so it would be very easy for us to have a couple of thousand restaurants tomorrow if we wanted to let restaurants just do whatever they liked. So there was a company in Asia that had thousands of restaurants, but they let restaurants choose whatever kind of deal they wanted. And so restaurants said, okay, 5% off, 10% off. And suddenly they had hundreds and thousands of restaurants. But the problem was it wasn't influencing consumer behavior, and nobody was making bookings. So we are very clear with restaurants that we require restaurants to offer 50% off the food, not the beverages, which is where they make their big margin, at least 2 times per day between Sunday and Thursday. They can, aside from the 50%, they can go down to a minimum of 25% off. So we are focusing very much on deal quality. Deal quality drives behavior, and at BigDish we're looking to slowly and steadily increase the number of restaurants on the premise that the deal quality is solid, because that is what is attracting the consumers. We've had one restaurant, recently, we've literally sent hundreds of people to them over a very, very short, I think it's about 10 days. So we are seeing that deal quality is influencing consumers, and restaurants are delighted because it means they're able to shape the traffic and drive traffic to them, to that restaurant, when they need them the most. The next thing I want to talk about is some of the myths about BigDish that I picked up, and I thought I would talk about it from what I've seen on Twitter, the bulletin boards, and I thought it's great to engage with the private investor and find out what people are thinking, what they're worried about, what their fears are. And of course, everybody is always afraid, it seems, around money. So here's something I've picked up. People say, oh, BigDish, they're fishing around brokers, looking for money, looking for this, looking for that. Absolute nonsense. It is true that because our share price has rapidly risen and the volume seems to be fantastic at the moment, we have had a number of brokers approach us and said, would you like to have X? Would you like this money? Would you like that? And at the moment, we've just said, no, we don't need to have that. Thank you very much. So despite some of the rumors that you see on bulletin boards or on Twitters, all nonsense. That's the kindest way I could say it. The next thing I've seen people talk about is question the business model. So how does BigDish make money? So at the moment, the way we make money is we get paid from every diner seated. Not every booking, but every diner that is seated. That's how we get paid. How much do we get paid? It's a fee per diner. It depends on the size of the discount, and it will be anywhere from 50p to £1.50, an average of about £1 per diner seated. So people say, well, how can that possibly work? I've seen people ask. Well, it's already a proven business model. TripAdvisor have a booking platform called The Fork or La Fourchette. They use this business model. OpenTable, which is a generalist reservation platform, different from what we do, they charge on a per seat basis. So what we're doing in terms of our business model isn't new. It's already proven in terms of how we generate revenue. So the other thing to consider, of course, is that people say, well, if that's the only thing you've got, there you go. However, as we increase our footprint, it will bring much more opportunities. So, for example, if you look at the food delivery companies like Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Just Eat, they have found that as they have grown, there has been more and more revenue generating opportunities. What could that mean for BigDish? Well, of course, as we increase our footprint in the UK, as we gain more users, it gives us the opportunity to place restaurants in more visible positions on the app and the website. That's another revenue generating opportunity that we could do. Of course, we could even, at some point in time, we could even think, well, if we got all of these thousands of people making bookings on BigDish, why don't we give people the opportunity to pay for their food through BigDish? So the fintech opportunity. I mean, that's something that could come in the future. Basically, what we're focusing on right now is increasing our footprint. So we're not worried about the business model that we've got. It's already proven. But what we do know is, as our footprint increases, it will bring more and more opportunities. And of course, data. Data brings opportunities. If you look at the food tech, the food delivery companies like Deliveroo, you can see how their business model has evolved. Now they do what they call dark kitchens or cloud kitchens, where they set up these industrial compounds and had all the food cooked. And this was a new thing that's come, and it's all come because they started to analyze the data, and it created new opportunities. And we would expect very similar for us in the future. So the third thing, or the third myth that I see people talking about is, they will need gazillions, not a word I don't think, to make it happen. Well, people say that because they look at the amount of funding that companies like Deliveroo or Uber Eats have received, which is hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds. We are a very, very, very different business model. We do not deliver the food. We don't have any trucks, we don't have any motorcycles. Our overheads are extremely low. So all of our technology development, and the bulk of it is already there, is done in Manila in the Philippines. We have a 9-person tech team. The tech team is a fraction of what it would cost in the UK. As I said earlier, we only need one territory manager for each of our territories. So our staff base is very low. We have very, very low overheads. And we don't think we will ever get to a point in the UK where we will have more than 30 staff. But let's see. Another reason that we can grow and take advantage of free things, SEO, search engine optimization. So in smaller and regional cities, there is not too much competition. So we don't need to buy Google AdWords or do those type of things. We can take advantage of search engine optimization that can bring in tens of thousands of new users over a period of time. And the other reason why we don't need gazillions is that BigDish is a sticky product. What does that mean? People that are making bookings are making repeat bookings. We are finding that we don't need to constantly have to spend money to re-engage or reactivate a BigDish user. People keep coming back. So those are a couple of the sort of myths that I wanted to address in this Share Talk presentation in Manchester, from issues and questions and things that I've seen on Twitter and the bulletin boards and so forth. So we're a very ambitious company. I mean, look, every company that's in a small cap market has to be ambitious, right? Nowhere's coming here just while we're looking to make 5% returns in a year. The fact of the matter is, what we are trying to do for our shareholders is we want to knock it out the park. We want to really be ambitious. And in the space that we are in, we need to be ambitious. Tastecard, the company I mentioned earlier, was acquired for over £100 million. We've recently appointed a CEO, Sanj Naha. Sanj came from TripAdvisor. And so we've got some massive ambition of what we want to do with this company, where we want it to go, and we are going to be shouting it aloud. We're going to be aggressive about going for it, and that's the ambition. That's BigDish. Thank you.